What's up, traders? We have a very special guest with us. John from Apex is joining us. We're going to talk about the email that was recently just sent out to a bunch of different traders. I'm not going to bore you with a long intro. Let's just jump right into it. John, what's up, man?
Hey bud, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well. We've talked a few times about getting on an interview and trying to get some things out there. And we finally made it happen.
Yeah, we talked about it for a while, and then instead of scheduling it way out, it's like 2 hours ago. It's like, hey, you want to jump on tonight and talk about it? Sure. So,
Yeah, perfect. Well, I appreciate you jumping on, and I'm sure that everybody that watches this video is going to appreciate the clarity that we bring around the email that was recently sent out to a bunch of traders
yep.
regarding moving to a live account. So let's just jump right in. Let's just get to the first topic here. This email that was sent out, what sparked the email? Because it seems like this kind of thing comes in waves, right? And so, what sparked it now, and where did it come from?
Yeah, a couple things. I guess it's been a week or two ago. I put out a message in response. We've been getting a lot of questions about the SRO, the self-regulatory stuff. And I put out a message saying, hey, we're not going to be part of that. We're handling some things on our own. We're, going to be self-regulating ourselves. And, we have reports that we're going to be using. We're not sharing people's information. And I had stated in there that, hey, there'll be a few things that we're going to be addressing, but that was, more geared towards, straight up like abuse of the programs, as it were. Um, this is something that, we've been tracking for a while, and just as part of some of those new reporting systems, it was just okay, hey, we need to get, some of this under control, and get some of these people moved to live. There's, I mean, we all know that there's been a big shift in the industry, right? I mean, every firm's kind of preparing for this and creating new paths to live. And that should be the goal of, every trader that signs up with a prop firm, is to eventually be in live. But also for the firm, it's something that these firms, we all have to do it at some point, just to be healthy, and have the longevity of the firm. Only so much can be paid out of SIM accounts. I mean, when you're SIM funded, it's a SIM account. There's not real live money behind it. Any payouts from that, are not generated by live. And if you don't have that in place and, managed, that's when you see what you've kind of seen over the last several months, but big time in just the last few weeks. You and I talked about some of that. That's when these firms have to suddenly change their program, change their payouts, change everything. Um, and so, for firms to be able to sustain, be healthy, and still have, you know, um, the ability to offer programs that are affordable to get into with good rules. At some point, um, there's got to be a move out of a simulated environment. And as we, you know, have been looking at that and coming up with some of these reports and getting a better understanding of, who needs to move and, who we need to um, take out of the sim environment. We did that. Um, Apex has a pretty big, we're a pretty big list of people, and so for some it's like, oh my gosh, this was a lot, and for us it's like, well, it was like less than 1%, which in reality doesn't really seem like a lot of, like, oh, you're only moving 1% of your people, so that's kind of where it came from. um, and kind of getting a handle on that. And then from there, I mean, this is actually not new, as it were. There's plenty of times where we are paying somebody out, or talking about moving to live, where that's one of the things we do, is just, the system doesn't let them buy more evaluations to add to that. So ongoing, this would be something that's just monitored as we go, as far as people that, get to a certain point, or get to a certain amount of payouts, or get into, uh, something that would just be now be able to manage on a weekly basis, kind of a catch up.
Yeah. Is this something that's going to be consistently happening? Because it seems like this past email that came out, it was like a mass email that just went to tons and tons of traders. And so we haven't really heard about it yet up until I think maybe last year you guys sent out maybe the same email about sending traders alive. But since then, we haven't really heard much on it yet. And so
Yeah.
it seems like it's like a wave, right? So was there something that you saw that, that forced you guys or caused you guys to start acting on it as heavy as you did just recently?
I guess if there's anything particular that we saw, it was just, we've talked about, um, you know, building out we talked about it quite often of, getting the live prop department all built out and getting that up and going. So it's been something that's been coming.
So are you guys still building out the live prop department now, or is it finalized?
No, we're still building it out as far as, as we keep going here and more people are starting to be moved over, we'll need more staff to do that. But, we've got it going enough to, start moving people over. And then, be able to keep up with it ongoing. It's just part of, like I said, this was kind of a catch up of our big list. All right, here's our big list. Here's everybody that needs to move. And then from here, as people are growing, as people are progressing,
Yeah.
it's just part of the weekly monitoring of, okay, these people have reached a certain level and so on. Also we will, pretty soon be releasing some, not going to let all the cat out of the bag, but, some new programs, some new products. You and I have talked about some of that, and try to lay out, a little more clearer path to live, or potentially, a little clearer path with payout caps, which, payout caps are a tricky thing. Let's be honest, no one wants payout caps. You know what I mean? Like, no one wants payout caps. Not everybody wants to ever be moved to live, honestly. Some do. Some are like, it's funny with the mixed reaction here. Some people are like freaking out about it. Other people are like, oh my God, I feel so honored. I can't believe you'd want to do that and get behind. It's such a mixed reaction. But, that's honestly very few. And, even with caps, some of these companies out there have put some pretty tight caps, honestly. There was, just recently, some are like, I have a 50K account once you hit $5,000. It doesn't mean that you have even withdraw $5,000. You just got to $5,000 in your account and you're moved all your accounts. Is that from a risk modeling standpoint, a very safe thing to do? It is, but it's a little limiting too, So, we might put in some caps to, help give some guidelines, and head off maybe, some of these complete windfall, just want to go crazy and make $10 million. It's like, okay, no, there's caps, do it right to get there. But, I think there's still got to be some flexibility there, because just because, for example, somebody gets to $5,000 in an account, that doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to go to a live account, And so, I think that whatever we do there is going to have some flexibility to it, and going to be, I would say, probably the highest in the industry of, a pretty high cap, giving some good amount of room.
Okay. So let's back up for a split second. So
Yeah.
you said that you guys are still building out the live prop department.
Yeah.
Do you currently have live traders right now?
Yeah, we do. And we've actually offered live funding options since the last 3 years, since early 2022. We have moved people out of SIM into live accounts in the past, but honestly, not that many. Why not? Well, traders would get to a certain amount or their balance a certain account, and when we'd say, all right, time to get you out of the sim environment, here's your options. Some people did want to move and did want to trade live with us, but honestly, a good majority of them just wanted their payout. They've been with us for a while. They were already at the 100% withdrawal level, and they decided to go the route of, I want to take the payout and use it to open my own account. They're like, I feel like I've done well and learned. That's why I made so much, and I want to do it on my own. I don't want to do I want the tax treatment.
Roughly, how many live traders do you think you guys have?
Right now, with the brokers we have, only a handful.
Okay.
Only a handful right now with these brokers that we're using, and that's partially because we were setting up some of these new systems. There's not very many right now.
Okay.
Just to be straight up, it honestly wasn't be candid, in the past, it wasn't like a huge focus for really any firms for so long. Our focus was on, our growth and getting staff in to handle that growth and handle payouts and handle, that kind of thing. And it wasn't a huge push, to put people over to live. But, the issue is the industry has changed. I mean, the prop industry has completely changed. I remember when we first opened, it was 14 days in an evaluation. Now it's 1 day for like everybody. People, you have to trade 25 days to get your first payout. I don't know if you were active back in those days. And if you missed that one little window for the month, it was the next 20. I mean, now you got 1 day evaluations. You've got, somebody's paying out every day or 5 days or 8 days. You've got multiple payouts in a month. The environment's changed to where, because there is so much competition and price competition and easy rules and quick payouts and just every few days and multiple payouts a month and multiple accounts. That kind of changes to where in the past it wasn't as big of an issue. Now there's a lot more payouts going out of simulated accounts, and it has to be an issue now. Plus, regulations coming. What I mean? And that's going to be something that's required to move people. So,
talking about the live account and people moving over, what exactly are you guys looking for when you send out the email saying, "Hey, we're going to be sending you to live. You're no longer able to buy valuations." What exactly is the criteria? Obviously, this is kind of going along the lines of what's that clear path to live, right? And so, what's the criteria you guys are looking at to then send a trader to live? Like, if you had to say, if a trader was, going about their trading, what are they aiming for, or what criteria are they meeting to then be sent an email saying, "Hey, you're now going to live"?
sure. So it's several things. So, for example,
I also want to say too, because there are some people that have gotten the email that maybe have only gotten one payout, or there are some that got the email that haven't got a payout yet.
yep.
So if you could just touch on that as well when you're talking about the criteria.
Yeah, absolutely, because that is actually, that's a big thing I want to touch on, because I think that's one of the biggest misunderstood things. That's kind of the exact opposite of what people think. So here's the thing. So, if we're going to tell somebody, okay, it's time to transition you out of a simulated environment and, look at putting you in a live environment. So, for example, on, this most recent list, and I've got it right here in front of me. I could show it to you if I could, but I've got people on to spreadsheet. Maybe I can hide that. But there's people on here that have made over $1 million, that we've paid out over $1 million to, that have had over 800 PA accounts. You know what I mean? That have just been there going and going and going. And at some point you can't just let somebody sit in simulated environment forever and, be paid out of a simulated environment. But where, um, where the question comes in is being able to understand why, meaning, why has somebody had hundreds of PA accounts, right? Is it because, as we know, there's, people call it different things, account churning or blow and go, whatever. It's just a matter of buying accounts and trading them. Oh, I blew them, trading them, I blew. Oh, got somewhere, lucky windfall, I got to pay out. And is that why they've had so many? And just every few of them, they make it to a payout, So they've had a lot of payouts along the way, but nothing consistent, nothing where they've gotten accounts and kept accounts. And some of that is, yes, a gaming of the system or working of the system, just a blow and go churn. But then you've got people that, hey, you know how many accounts I blew back when I was trading, prop accounts myself, back in the day. I'm blowing live accounts. That's trading of, just because somebody's had a high amount of PAs doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's learning, it's growing, it's improving, and it takes time to do that. And, so, there's a kind of distinction there of trying to be able to figure out, okay, is this a churning situation? Because with a churning situation, that only works when you can sit there and pile in 20 or 30 new evaluations every week and turn them over because you're blowing 20 or 30 a week. We can kind of see that, and that's where it's like, okay, you've got these PAs now and you've got these backup evals. You got to stop feeding more in, and you've got to focus on it. You got to show us that you can actually do this and manage an account and compound an account and grow an account and manage risk on an account and keep it with what you've got here, and not totally treat it like a video game of, I was on level 3 and I died, so I started over. You know what I mean? Because when you go to live, it's live. Like, there's not a reset button there. You know what I mean? Versus somebody that might have gone through a lot of accounts and has gotten better. So there's a fine line there where there are some people out there that are not to that level yet, where they're not going to be able to maintain the accounts they have. And that's, we're going to have to address how to handle that, because it's like, hey, obviously that person is not ready for a live account. We don't want to put live money behind that if it can't be kept and maintained. But they also can't stay in sim forever, cycling through hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we've got to, figure that out of like, hey, you're going to have to take it easy and have some limited accounts here and focus.
But is there a certain dollar amount to say, like, to when you were saying, hey, you're going to go to live, is there a certain dollar amount that traders make, or is there a certain way they're trading? What exactly are you dictating to say, hey, you are going to live? Like, what does that look like?
There's not one single metric there. It's a couple of different things, especially right now. Some of it is, okay, now that we, are seeing these on the reports of, all right, this person's had this amount, and, they're, $500,000 in, and it's just a constant blow and go. Okay, we have to do something about that. This person's had several hundred, but they've gotten better. Like, you can see that it's a progressive thing, not an ongoing thing. So part of it is, yes, a payout amount, over the lifetime. It's also looking at the number of PAs and why is there so many of them. So when you're looking at it that way, the amount of payouts or the number of PAs, that's where it's a determination of which one is this? Is this just a churn game, or is this a learning, I got better and I went through quite a few? Okay, there's a difference there. Here's where the complete opposite side is, though. And this is something that I think has been misunderstood, is, like you said, some people, made hundreds of thousands of dollars. They had hundreds of PAs. But then other people had, like, and I've seen this on social media. Oh, well, they had less than 20, or some people only had a few accounts, and they got, why are they being considered for live? They've only had a few accounts,
Or even
and
the people that haven't got a payout from these accounts, say, like, because there were some that didn't get a payout yet. So
yeah,
what qualified them to be moved to live?
yeah, there was only a handful of those that hadn't done a payout request yet, but there was a decent amount of people that, let's say, had less than 20 accounts, or had, let's say, 3 accounts. So here's where you have to understand the difference. So let's say that somebody has only ever had 3 accounts with us, and they've been trading them now for the last 3 months. It's not like they've been with us for a year, blowing and going like some of these others. Say they've been with us 3 months, and they've gotten these 3 accounts up to, 15, 20, 25 grand each. And you can see they're never going full contracts. They're not blowing accounts. They're not having big up days and down days. There's a steady, slow growth equity curve. They have good risk management. They're slowly building every day. You actually see this. You actually see it, and they're building and growing. Some of them have only, had 3 accounts. They've never tried to go get hundreds and hundreds and blow. They're treating these few that they have, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 5, the right way. They're building them the right way. They're compounding them the right way. Some of them have had multiple payouts. Some have only had a few payouts. Some haven't even requested yet, but they're still building their account that way. They might have had it for 3 months, and they're building a cushion. Their goal isn't to just take out as soon as they can and bring themselves to a low drawdown. And so when you think about that, you're seeing some of it of like, why are they considering moving these people that are, just so new? They haven't let them go through tons and tons of payouts. They haven't let them go through tons and tons of account. Okay, do you understand that these people are the easiest ones to assess that they're the perfect candidates for live? It's the ones that have been through so many that you have to determine, what is that? Is that a churning situation or a learning? But I mean, think about it yourself. If you're going to you got 100 grand to give a trader, all right, you've got one over here that's actually been paid out $200,000 over the last year, but they burned through 800 accounts. Or you've got this person here that's had 3 accounts, not blowing and going. They've got each of those accounts up to like 20 grand, good risk management, not over trading, that's the perfect person you want to put in live, because they've already showed and proven that they can take those single accounts, or 2 or 3, compound them, build them, keep them, and grow them and do it right, not over risk. Not like they're the perfect candidates to put into live. Does that make sense? It's being, I think, taken as like a wrong thing or a negative or restrictive thing. It's the perfect scenario. I mean, what would you do? But for them, it's actually pretty helpful too. Again, let's just go back and clarify. There was a handful, only a few, that had not even requested a payout yet. But again, they had like 3 accounts with us, and they didn't burn through 20 evals to get them either. It was like a couple evals and 1 PA fee. Like, these people have probably spent less than $1,000 with us, like a few hundred, just to get where they are. 3 accounts to say, and each one's like 20 grand. So technically, they've spent like $500-600, but they're up 60 grand with us and keeping these accounts. And so, and they can take payouts, but they're not choosing to. They're trying to build buffer. It's all doing it right. That is the perfect scenario to put into live. I mean, that's what you're looking for. For them, it actually kind of is like like a slingshot, kind of like a fast pass, meaning once they're in live, their rules change and pretty much go away. And there's no consistency rule. They are not limited to their first 4 withdrawals can only take this 2 grand, and then you can only withdraw every 8 days. once they're in there and trade, they can withdraw as much as they want over that. There's no consistency rule. They can withdraw every day. Like there's positives for them too. Um, that lets them kind of skip the line of all that other stuff because they've already showed they can do it. I mean, that's the whole point of it is the test, the evaluation. They're evaluated. Like they've shown. And then just with their performance in live, that gets evaluated. And it's, to be able to get more margin, bigger size, more contracts, just from your performance, not having to pay for it with more test evals and go through fees and all that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's been not quite understood is that's not, does that make more sense? Like that,
Yeah.
that's the easiest
Yeah.
person to spot of that they need to be in live.
Sure. Sure. Real quick. So as far as like the future, right? When we're talking about building out this live prop space or the live department for Apex,
Mhm.
is there going to be what do you think it's going to look like when you are moving those people to live? Let's just say like some firms they have you hit certain amount of payouts, you go to live, or you hit a certain dollar amount, you go to live. Do you guys think you're going to do something like that to have a absolute clear, total clarity? Traders know exactly what's going to happen when they hit a certain criteria and move to live. Are you guys going to have something like that?
Um, I'm still mapping some of that out as far as that part of it. Um, there's kind of two sides of it when I say building out the department. One of it is the actual department of staff that moves people over and gets the paperwork done and gets them set up and so on. It's kind of what I was saying earlier. Is yes, I think at some point there needs to be caps. There needs to be a cap in place of like, look, the most you can make out of a sim account is X. I don't like some of the limitations that certain other companies have put on it. I do. Apex has always been known for more extra, whether it's contracts, accounts, 20 accounts, payouts. So I want to have a cap in place. And just like every other company, I mean, even now we have it. We reserve the right to move you at any time. I mean, these companies say, oh, you're capped at $50,000. They can still move you at any time. And where that should come in is the scenario, like I just said, of, well, this person's not at 50,000 yet, but look at their trading. They've got it. We need to get them over there, but I think there's got to be enough room in there. Now, there might be people that hit that cap level and like, okay, hey, I've hit this cap. I guess they're going to put me in live. And it might be like, hey, you've hit the cap. We've paid it all out. You know, or, you still have a balance left. We can pay you or we can move you to live. But there's going to be people that, you know, just because they hit the cap, probably shouldn't be in live. You know what I mean? Just because somebody hits that number, doesn't always mean they're ready for live. But you can't leave them in simulation forever. You know what I mean? So that's where I think there's got to be some leeway there to have a little bit higher caps to where along the way to be like, hey, we're going to move you early, you're great. Or, hey, you're getting close up here to these cap levels, but your performance is not quite, you need to work on this and not blow through so many and get ready for this, because once this is done, you're either at your cap and, you can't go any further in sim. If you want to stay with us longer and go to live, we need you to manage this a little bit better,
Yeah. I have a few questions over the eval bands, right?
Yeah.
So in the email that you sent out, you said that they are going to be evaluated over the coming weeks. So they're not in live yet. They're saying they're potentially going to live,
Yeah.
but you are banned from buying evals now, and you're going to monitor them. So what happens? So let's just say in the few weeks that you're monitoring them before they get to live, let's just say they go on this red streak, right? And they unintentionally lose the accounts that they were potentially being qualified for live. do
Sure.
they have a way back into the evals, even though they never made it into the live account?
Yeah. Some of those questions come in, like what if I blow my PAs before you get me moved to live? Or what if you move me to live and then I blow live? Am I just done? I don't get to come back through.
Yeah, is there a way back?
Is there a way back in? And everything will be determined case by case, but most of the time that answer is going to be yes. I mean, in an extreme case of, well, after we dug into this, this is clearly just churning or you're not even trading the account, whatever. Otherwise, yes, of course. It's not Apex's intent to limit anybody's opportunity to become a live funded trader and demonstrate their skill of being able to do that in the sim environment. There just might need to be limits or caps on ongoing payouts or number of accounts. Meaning, okay, let's say we move you to live and you're trading live and you end up blowing that live account, right? Well, are you just done? Bye? No, you could come back in and go back through the process. But that might not be
What dictates them
fresh.
being
I'm going to
able
go
to?
get Yeah, I'm gonna go get 20 accounts and start blowing and going and just go through hundreds of thousands of dollars of payouts again in sim. No, it might be like, hey, come back in, start with just a few evals. Let's get your head straight. Let's, go through, figure out, hey, what went wrong in live? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What do I need to work on? Work on that in the evals, work on that in the PAs. And, in your PA, when it gets to, if you came back in, when your PA gets to its trailing threshold or to a predetermined amount that we, agree on, then let's move it back into live. It's
When
not going to be and you've heard other firms talk about this. It's become a problem of moving people live. They purposely blow the live so they can get back into sim to just churn live. And that's what we can't do. So,
So if they unintentionally blow the live account, you can tell that they unintentionally blew it, like they just went on a massive registry. Like, when can they expect to come back into evals?
they can come right away.
Right away. So there
Right
is
away.
no limited. They're not, if they say blow it on a Tuesday afternoon, right? They can come back Wednesday morning and buy evals in.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be. We'd have to get the report to know that was blown and talk to them to be able to unlock it and then set a plan of like, okay, come back in. You know, I don't want to say that they blew it Tuesday. They could do Wednesday morning. Like a risk manager would have to look into it and see what happened.
But would you
Like,
say maybe within like say a few days or a week
yeah,
or how long? Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Just we got to get the report that okay, this was blown. Have a risk manager look into it. Okay, what happened? Okay, reach out. Like, hey, you know, looks like this happened. Did you have a technical issue? Did your internet go out and you couldn't place a stop, or was this what was it? Let's work through it. Let's talk about it. Okay, why don't we make an agreement to, you know, and look at what balance they had before, how many were they managing before. Let's start with just a few. Here's what we need to do. Like clearly the problem happened over here was you didn't manage risk right, or you went too many contracts. So let's work on that and let's get the eval, go through the eval, get into the PA, and let's set a goal of getting to $5,000. But but we don't want you to get there in 2 days. Like your problem over here was this. How do we fix that? All right, make sure you stick with only this amount per day or this amount. Okay, cool. You got it fixed. You made it to this balance. Let's put it back in live. Um, that is no problem. If how many accounts I've blown. How many accounts you've blown. People blow accounts. People make mistakes. That's trading. There's a difference of learning, growing, mastering versus just piling through to hope
Yeah.
you make it. So yes, the biggest thing is here. Look, if these folks have however many PA accounts they've had, payout, tons of payouts, so they've had big balances in their PA. They've got PA accounts, they've got eval accounts. All we're saying is, okay, based on your payout history or your balance history or your performance, it's time to look at potentially getting you out of the simulated environment. doesn't change a thing. People are like, "Oh, I'm banned." You're not banned. You still have your PAs, you still have your evals. You can still turn your evals into PAs. You can still withdraw. There's no new rules or probation put on you. Like I saw the video you posted yesterday, I think, and you brought up a couple of good points because when I was trying to explain this, I said, "Look, it's just business as usual," and you're like, what I meant by that was there's no restrictions of, oh, you're banned and you can't do this and you can't trade this way. You can no, everything stays the same. Just while you're being evaluated to be moved out of sim, don't be plugging in more sim. That's all it is. I mean, every company out there's, hey, once you're in live, there's no more sim because we want you to focus.
Yeah.
And we've seen this in the past. If I tell somebody like, hey, we're looking to move you, we need to see you focus on these PAs. Show us that you can focus on what you have, compound it, manage it, and you're able to do that without the need to blow and pile in. Oh wait, I'm about to move. Boom, rush out, buy 100 evals, trying to work these evals, trying to do, and not even focus on their live or blow it all. And that's why that's there.
Yeah. So put simply, like just short version, if they do get moved to live, right? They're currently unable to buy any more evaluations. They unintentionally blow the live account, right?
Yeah.
They go on some red streak, they unintentionally blow it. That's going to be reviewed by you guys over the next few days, maybe a week,
Yeah.
however long it takes, but over the next few days, if you guys determine that, hey, they just were losing and that was that, like they didn't intentionally blow it, they will be able to go back into those evaluation accounts with, say, a set number of evaluation accounts that you guys predetermine for
Yes.
the traders. So for the traders does that still apply for the traders that blow the PA accounts during those few weeks of being evaluated? Say, because like you said in the email, you were going to evaluate traders over the coming weeks. They're no longer able to buy new evals, right? So in those coming
Yeah.
weeks, does that same concept apply? If they blow the PA accounts unintentionally, right?
Yeah.
Are they still able to go back in live? Does the concept still apply there?
Concept still applies as long as concept still applies, whether it's between now and, oh, I didn't get moved yet, or I got moved and look. It's Here's the biggest difference, Jody, is some of these when you look at the group that's out there, like we talked about those people who only had a few accounts, but how great they're doing, like we don't need to review those people. We don't need to ask them any questions except what broker do you want to go with? Like they're good to go. Some of the other group, it's like, not having the ability to lump in evals all day is automatically alone going to show us of, well, that's all gone because they don't have a strategy. They don't have a system. It's just flow, go, and oh, I lost this, I need another one. Like that's going to really help separate out those folks where it's like, okay, for, hey, can you, and some emails have already gone out to some like, okay, hey, look, you're being evaluated. We're looking into this. Can you respond to this email and explain your system? Just let us know, hey, here's the system I trade. Here's kind of the rules I trade. Here's kind of what I do. Okay, mark us up the next few days. Next few days of trading, mark your charts at the end of the day, like every trader should do at the end of the day. Journal their trades, look at what they did right, look at what they did wrong, what they could have done better. Did they follow their rules or not? When you do that, just shoot us a copy of it. We can see that, okay, this is not just a churn system. This person is working a system, a rules-based system. Okay, great. Versus, I don't really have any rules. I'm just going and it happens to work. Okay, well, you blew one before we moved you because we wouldn't have moved you if that's your situation and you want to come back. Well, okay, but again, you're going to have to do this right and you can't come back in and make payouts from simulated environment. If that's the situation and it's somebody churning, abusing, they're probably not going to want to do more.
Okay. What does a trader do? So like when say they do get in a live account and they blow it, all right, and they're wanting to come back to evaluations, how does that play out? Do you guys reach out to the trader or does the trader reach out to customer support? Like what takes place for a trader to come back?
It would be, we'd get the report and, look through it and if there was something spotted, like you've brought it up a few times, like did they blow it unintentionally? Um, if it was like a clear, like, oh, something's not right here, at that point, we'd probably reach out and be like, what happened here? Because this looked like an intentional blow. Oh, well, there was a storm like I had last night that knocked out my internet. A storm knocked out my internet and it blew the whole account. I didn't purposely do it. Okay, understood. Like to find out, hey, if there's something that doesn't look right here, let's make sure. Otherwise it's, going to be okay, hey, this happened. Let's chat. You want to schedule a Zoom time with and not an email back and forth. Schedule a Zoom time with the risk manager to be like, let's talk through it. Was it a tech issue? Was it a mentality issue, a risk management issue? How can we help with that? Here's actually some great resources for it. In the past, I've had this with people that we've moved to live that honestly have blown it and come back. There's been a couple times we put people back in a few times.
Yeah, so they can reach out to the risk manager and schedule, get a meeting and go over their trading, go over, hey, this is exactly what happened. This is why I blew the account.
Yeah.
And then you guys can allow them to come back. Okay, cool.
So we're going to need to know that to know what plan to put them into and what goals to hit coming back in to go back into life. Like if we didn't address the issue, it's pointless.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Now going into again, you said you were building out the department. Do you have a timeline on when you're thinking that you're going to have everything finalized for the live department, staffing, systems, caps, whatever those look like? Do you have a timeline on when you guys think that you might have that wrapped up?
Well, I mean that department. I mean, potentially, I understand what you're asking. That department should potentially just always grow as more and more people are moved. The couple different stages there. Within the next 60 days, I'm hoping to have most of all that in place. It's there now. I mean, we've had these brokers there, we had the accounts. Some of the process that will speed some of that up is not from our side so much as the broker side. We're really pushing for a little bit easier onboarding towards not, actual physical paperwork, a little easier online or onboarding online to speed the process up. I mean, it's not that long now, it can take 3-4 days kind of thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So from the email that you guys just recently sent out, how many live chairs? Obviously, it's going to vary from, probably maybe a wide range, but if you had to throw, give a range, how many live chairs do you expect to send after sending this email out?
I mean, hopefully a few hundred. And that's manageable. It's also there's a little bit of a mix here because like the people we talked about earlier that say well, they had 3 accounts for the last 3 months and they've only had one payout or not one yet. They're not technically at the point where they could take out 100% of their account, right? It's not that we would force something on them, but for others that have been, let's say they have had an account for a couple months, it might be like, hey, look, it's time to move you out of sim. Like there's no more sim. You can't be paid out of sim forever. It's time to move you, and we're willing to offer you live. They might say, I just want my full payout.
Yeah. So we're talking maybe you said maybe a few hundred. So one question I have is, do you guys ever plan to show publicly like how many live chairs you guys had? Because a lot of these firms, they have like, there's like leaderboards, there's certain things that other firms do that show their live chairs, right? So, and I think that brings a lot of good transparency to the industry when a firm is showing that, hey, we're sending these chairs alive, we have this many live traders, right? Especially with the way the direction the industry is going, with showing a clear path to live, moving, getting people out of sim, moving them. What do you guys plan on doing or intend on doing to say, to publicly just show like, hey, this is how many live chairs we have, this is what we're doing, to show that transparently?
Yes, actually, that's a huge thing that we plan to do, because like right now on our homepage, you see all of the payouts there. Right, like payouts, total payouts for the month, payouts. We plan to do the same exact thing with live. Kind of separate those numbers out of this is the amount paid out, here, this is the amount paid out here. Because we want to encourage it. We want to make it something attainable to where, I mean, look, Joey, let's cut all the BS aside, right? Here's the thing. Like, let's all be honest. Very few traders right now want to be moved to live ever. Not just with our firm, with any firm.
There's no incentive.
There's not a whole lot of incentive.
No.
Like, here's, again, cut all the BS.
But you'd still agree though that it's a good thing to show publicly, like, because to stay
it has
on
to
that
be
topic,
shown
like,
publicly.
yeah,
it has to be shown publicly, because where I'll go with that is, how do I go, Joey? You did so awesome in these 20 PAs. You made it, bro. You graduated. Now I'm gonna move you to one live. It doesn't feel like a reward. It feels like a limitation. So what has to be done there, and a lot of companies are trying this, is there's got to be incentives in live, whether it's extra accounts or growing your account or account bonuses. But the biggest thing is this. One of the biggest reasons we do want to show all the live traders, we do want to show the withdrawals from live, is because you'll be able to do it daily. And that's one of the big draws of why would I want to give up SIM for live? Well, because then you can withdraw every day. Also, you don't have a consistency rule anymore. Consistency rules are for SIM to help protect SIM from people that want to come in and gamble, windfall, and make money. When you're in live and you're making it in live, if you made $50,000 that day, there's no consistency rule that you can't take it out until you make more. It's live. And that has to be transparent. That has to be promoted. That has to be something that people want. And the only way to do that is to show it. Here's the people that have moved from SIM to live. Look, yeah, that's great that over here, this person every 8 days was taking a payout in SIM. This guy's taking out a payout every single day. There's no max cap. There's no consistency rule. That has to be there. That has to be. And so, yes, that's going to be a huge part of it. We're also going to focus quite a bit on, yes, making some, live payout bonuses or.
That was gonna be my next question. Like, what are you guys gonna do? Are you guys gonna offer any incentive-based bonus or structure for people that do go live with your program?
Yeah, we're I don't have that finalized to be able to give you the number on it yet. But yes, looking at bonuses there, but the big part is also going to be how often to evaluate it to be able to scale up. Because even though you can't have 20 accounts in live, the brokers want to go out, doesn't mean you can't scale up, and have a good size account and good size contracts. And how often can, we reevaluate that and move people up, give them more because of their performance, not because they would have bought more evals. It's got to be attractive. And for some, I think it will be. I think they'll want to do it because they still need that mentally of feeling like, I've got your backing. Other people, they're going to want their payout and go trade on their own. And that's fine. But yes, it will be a whole other section. There will actually be some other support and some other cool stuff I can't say just yet that we would be offering to our live traders to help them. I don't want to say education because it's not education as far as teaching them strategy or systems, but more personal growth, trading mentality, trading psychology, discipline, some high level courses and high level stuff offered to them that's just provided to them, not something we're trying to sell them, it's provided to them. That's, I think, very, very extremely important. Be a lot of support there.
Cool.
So
Awesome. That pretty much wraps up all the big questions that I've been seeing floating around. Is there anything that you want to touch on that maybe we didn't, or that you want to inform all the traders on, that whether it be something that we didn't touch on with the live accounts, the emails, or what they can expect in the future?
Um, not that I can think of. There are some emails going out. The team is going down the list. There's already been some people that have already been invited to live crop, and paperwork's being sent out. There's some people that emails have gone out and requesting more information of what talk to us about your system. Tell us what system you're trading. Give us some charts, like show. There's some other people that have already even said, all right, you know what, we're gonna leave you on sim a little bit longer, after digging in and chatting with you, like a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And so we're going down the list.
Mm.
It's just, this is not, some people have asked, what did I do wrong? Why did I get banned? Okay, this doesn't mean you did anything wrong, right? Like, no one's getting banned. You still have everything. It's just, while you're being evaluated to move out of the sim environment, we just don't want flooding more sim. That's it.
No.
That's it. Or again, just because somebody has had 600 PA accounts, that doesn't mean we automatically think they did something wrong, or, oh, they're a churner. Not necessarily. I mean, when you think about somebody has 20 at a time, 600 is really 30.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad. It doesn't mean bad. It just means don't flood it in. And to address just a couple other things,
Sure.
just throwing it out there. I mean, just hit this head on. Apex knew this would not go over well, so they immediately launched a 90% off to cover it up and make something look good. Okay. No, it was Memorial Day. We do sales every holiday. So we didn't launch the 90% off afterwards to cover this up. Now, but did we do this before that sale to purposely not have people that we need to look at not flood in 100 new evals? Yes. Like, that was part of the reason we did do that. Then it's like, okay, hey, we don't want this flooded here. I mean, but no, the 90% off was not for that.
A little bit different question for you here, because this has also been floating around the space for some time. Real quick before we wrap up, did any affiliates get the email?
Affiliates, yep. Yes, there were some affiliates on this list, and we've actually been having conversations over the last week about affiliates. In fact, I actually had conversations with Patrick Whelan today about it. And even about him. I talked to Trades by Matt about it yesterday. Yes, there were some affiliates on this list. I know there were some people saying, oh, this didn't affect me. I didn't get it. I think I'm an affiliate. There were some affiliates that got it. And again, this would be ongoing day to day. Okay, here's new people that are coming up that we've got to do something with and move them over. Affiliates are, I don't want to say next on the list, like in a bad, it's not like that, but affiliates are something we have to figure out as well, because there are some affiliates that have gone through quite a few accounts or have had quite a few payouts. And, we have to still maintain good risk management with them as well. And it's one of those things of, like Patrick and I were talking even, and it's like, well, yeah, we can get Patrick in a live account, or get, a couple other affiliates I talked to, get you in a live account. That's great. That's awesome. Like, you show your followers, like, hey, I did it. I made it through. I'm in live. Look, here's how it works. I get paid out every day. But there's also a little bit of I don't want to say disservice there, but it's very helpful for followers to see, okay, I see this person trading Apex. I see this guru I'm following trading 20 accounts and how they copy over and how they set it up and how they take withdrawals and like to see the journey as opposed to being a trading guru telling them, "Well, I'm here. Like, here's how I did it, but I'm not gonna be able to show you the journey along the way." You know what I mean? Like, so how do we manage that risk in sim, but still, let people have someone like be able to watch the journey? Like that's powerful. So like we don't want to hurt people either. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like how do we balance that out?
So
Um,
affiliates are getting the same treatment as everybody else. Is that what you're saying?
yes, we have to manage that risk, but how do I do that but not hurt the traders following them that want to see how do you functionally do an eval and then get over to you know Joey, how do I put you in live when you have no rules? How do you have hundreds or thousands of people following you and you teach them or try to talk to them about not overdoing it for a trailing drawdown? Like there's a disconnect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like complete disservice disconnect. And so we're trying to figure out how to bridge that gap.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I
Yep.
don't have all the answers to that yet.
No, that's fine.
Because I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt people that follow you or people that hurt Patrick. Like, well, dang, you are doing this, but I can't do that. How do we do this right? Our
Yeah.
intention is not to hurt or harm or limit in a bad way. But it's not a thing of, we do this to you, but affiliates do whatever they want. We love our affiliates, but
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
You still got to keep things in line, and
Perfect.
we're working through that. So,
Perfect.
um,
Well, I think this was extremely helpful. I think this video is probably going to bring a lot of clarity because there were a ton of questions over this email. I think we covered
sure.
quite a bit of them. So, John, thank you for hopping on and doing this. I know
Yeah,
it's definitely late into the evening, so I appreciate your time and being willing to hop on and answer these questions that a lot of the community has. Fam, as always, if you guys like this kind of content, be sure to smash that like button down below, subscribe to the channel to get more daily content, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.